My name is Jennifer Saponiak, and I'm with Shad Companies. We're proud to partner in this event with the Chamber because we recognize the importance of workforce development in our region. I'm honored today to introduce the presenter. Dr. Keith Wilson has served as the Career and Technical Education Director for Knox County Schools since November 2017. A graduate of East Tennessee State University, he earned his master's and doctorate in education from Carson-Newman University. Keith taught middle school science in Knox County before becoming an assistant principal and ultimately system-wide coordinator of TAP, as well as the director of professional learning. Please welcome Dr. Keith Wilson.
Well, good morning. Thank you guys, first of all, thank you to the Chamber, thank you to the Shad Company this morning for sponsoring this event. And we just really are excited about the opportunity to get in front of new partners potentially and talk a little bit about really the role that Knox County Schools and especially our Career and Technical Education Department can play in really equipping the future and really contributing to the next layer, the next round of employees in the future. We're going to take a little bit of time here to really just talk about who the CTE department is, the programs that we have, highlight a few of our goals and priorities and talk about where those come from, and then talk about the importance of industry alignment and support when we think about the career and technical programs that Knox County students participate in. So first, I wanted to share with you just really a guiding vision for the KCS CTE department. And when we think about kind of our purpose and what we're driving towards, we want to offer relevant and equitable career and technical programming in each Knox County high school. And we want that to be supported by intentional and consistent opportunities for our students to have career awareness, exploration, and eventually pathway planning for themselves as they think about their life beyond high school. And again, it's important for us that all Knox County students experience that. Why is this our vision? Well, first is we recognize that across our county and across the different school communities, there are differences that our students experience when it comes to the opportunities that they have and really their exposure to different careers. You've probably heard that phrase before, this idea that if you can see it, you can be it. And we know that the reality is in a lot of our families and a lot of our communities, students really don't have the opportunities to see the vast array of careers that are out there for them. And so we believe it's our responsibility to help them do that through CTE. We also believe it's important as a school district to increase our economic impact. And so it's important for us to be intentional about how we're engaging kids with certain careers that are going to eventually contribute back into the community that we live in. We also are working hard to help redefine this idea of college and career ready for both our students and their families. We've done a very good job in Knox County Schools for a long time, helping students to understand the importance of like the ACT and going to a four-year university track and how to do that. And there's certainly been a lot of push at the state level as well to help students understand what it takes to be successful in college. But we know there's lots of different opportunities out there that range anywhere from certification pathways, apprenticeship pathways, even into 2-year and then 4-year and beyond degrees. And we want students, again, to understand and their families to understand the breadth of those opportunities. And then again, while we are dealing with high school students, and many of them are not going to, come out of high school as a graduate knowing exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives. I think that's probably the rare example of a student that wants to do that. We do think what we can do through, again, these intentional opportunities, this exploration and planning, we can help students to narrow their focus during their time with us so that they're taking some things off the plate for themselves and continuing to look forward at what the best opportunities could be for them based on their interests, based on their strengths. And again, hopefully help them to start to engage in some of those credit-bearing activities even while in high school. And as Amy already mentioned, we do have about approximately 19,000 students that are in our grades 9 through 12 across our 16 high schools. If you looked at our programming in those high schools, you would see that we have programs that represent all 16 of the nationally recognized career clusters. And with our middle schools, we also have CTE programming. And it is focused heavily, I would say, across our district on STEM, basic computer skills, and we're starting to do more with intentional, again, career exploration opportunities through some software and through some different advisement activities that we're expanding. So I'm not going to read you this list, but I put this up here too to paint a picture. You may, when I started talking today, not have had a frame of reference necessarily for what career and technical education covers. And if you're familiar with possibly maybe when you went to school, this idea of a vocational education, maybe the trades, you think of shop class, you think of learning to work maybe on small engines or on cars. All of those sorts of programs still exist, but CTE, career and technical as a whole, covers a wide range of different programs, and you can see some of those there. We are very, I would say, heavy, have a lot of programming in the areas of business and marketing and finance. We have quite a bit of programming in the health sciences, which if you think about here in the Knox area, there's a lot of career opportunity in those areas as well. But we also have programming in just a wide range, as I mentioned, the trades, criminal justice, culinary arts. We have programming in every high school, and each of those takes on sort of a different flavor depending on lots of different factors. And we're working harder over time. I've been in the position for a little over 3 years. We're working harder over time to ensure that the programs we offer move closer to matching kind of the opportunities, again, for where students may go after they graduate high school, and then also obviously directly into the workforce here in the Knox area as well. So I really tried to simplify down and give you a little sense of kind of the big goals and priorities that we're working on, and kind of put them in some plain language. But I will highlight the fact that our goals and priorities are sort of driven by two main things. The first one is that as a recipient of federal monies, CTE programming across the United States is funded through a federal grant called the Carl Perkins Federal Grant Program. And we receive funds annually, probably in the range of $900,000 to $1 million in Knox County for career and technical education programming. And that money comes with a lot of different expectations and a lot of different rules about how it's spent and the different initiatives that are going to be targeted with that. So we use that foundational expectation to kind of frame what we're going to work towards, but also to shape it according to what we see as being the needs both among our students and our schools, and then again in our communities. So the first one for us over the course of the next 2 years, because we set our goals currently for a 2-year span, is to continue to expand career readiness activities. So we really want to support students, again, with those intentional, consistent kind of experiences where they're engaging in career exploration work across across the different grades, and then preparation activities as we think about, again, them narrowing their focus and really starting to make some decisions about what might be the best fit for them moving forward. As much of that as we can do for them while they're in school, we believe will end up costing them less time, money, and effort once they move out beyond high school into training and post-secondary education. And we definitely, within that career readiness, and we think about the full spectrum of what how we expose students to careers, we are looking to increase students' participation in work-based learning activities. And that does include these capstone courses where students can actually, either through activities they do at their school, or actually going out and working in the workplace, maybe through a clinical setting in the health sciences, or through a work-based learning course where they may be hired by for part of the day during their junior or senior year to work for a company and kind of track and keep a portfolio about their work activities, and keep track of kind of what they're learning in that field while they're working for that employer. And I'm not going to read through this whole piece here, but I do want to kind of show you a graphic that we've been using a little bit internally to talk about what we see as that college and career progression. Remember, I said one of our goals through this vision is to really help kind of redefine what that looks like. And so you see that there are different levels as we think about how do we expose kids to maybe things they haven't normally been exposed to. And so we think it's early on you start building an awareness really for what are jobs and what are the different career possibilities that are out there. That would be some of those awareness activities. And that doesn't just happen in the kindergarten through 5 band. It kind of looks like that on the graphic, but it's not a firm timeline there. Exploration activities, once kids know what's out there, we can do more to help them learn about themselves. And so we've invested in a profile that students are now taking in the latter part of the middle school band, and then at the first part of high school, 2 different versions of that test, where they can really complete some brain game type activities and some interest inventories. And it gives them a very in-depth report that says, you know, here's where you are showing interest in terms of careers, but here's some places you're showing some strength. And so we quite often see there's some gap there between what kids are interested in and what their aptitudes are showing. And so that can be an important place to help a kid dig in deeper to say, well, you're showing strength in this area. You may not know what an engineer does. So we can do some things intentionally to help you learn more about what an engineer does. And so that's more of that exploration, that digging in part that we know is an important part of that activity. And then the last phase is that experience and planning phase, is really when you start to get into the high school. You know, again, if I know some areas I'm interested in, I know where I have strengths or some places I would like to explore more deeply, that's really where we feel like high school CTE programming can come in. If you're interested in the health sciences, if you're interested in law, if you're interested in business or in information technology, coding, things of that nature, there's programs out there that can help you to start to learn more about both what it means to have that skill set, but then also what it looks like to work in that career field. And so we feel like CTE is a very unique offering that at the high school level we can really use to shape kids' futures. Again, we're one of the other things with the state Department of Education that they've really emphasized this idea of early post-secondary opportunities. You see it on the graphic there in the 9 through 12, also known as an EPSO. And we really are doing a lot at the high school level right now to engage students in dual enrollment opportunities. We've had a long history with like advanced placement coursework. Both of those and there are other pathways to that too that really allow kids to earn college credit while they're in high school. Through our CTE programs, we're also able to offer them industry certifications. And we'll talk a little bit more about those in just a second. But again, engaging students, not only getting them college credit, but making sure that as we engage them in these college credit offerings, that we're doing that with a lens for who they are and what their strengths are and what is the best fit for a college credit if they're going to expect it to count towards a major or a degree once they leave us and move on to post-secondary. And then lastly, as I said before, we believe that this information is not just important for students, but it's important for parents as well. Because again, the next generation of workers are right now living with parents who are concerned and want great things for their kids. And it's just as important that they know what those opportunities are and that we're able to accurately paint a picture for them. So our first goal being around expanding that career readiness. Our second goal is really back to what I just spoke on, and that's early post-secondary engagement. So we've set a goal for ourselves with each of our programs of study in the high school level. And if you remember back to that long list I showed you a minute ago, one thing I meant to say there is when you see that we're offering, let's say, coding, or we're offering welding, what that means for a kid that's taking that at the high school level is most likely they're going to get 3 classes over the course of their high school experience in that area. So when I say that, again, we are very much getting kids toe in the water with these experiences, and they are able to earn some very beginning level sort of certifications and things that they can take with them to the next level. But again, the bulk of what we do for kids is really expose them and try to give them as authentic a picture of what it would be like to continue to train or to go to work in these fields so that they have a clearer picture. But that's kind of the breadth of it. So we're not able to bring a kid in and give them a half a day of plumbing for 4 years and they come out with a an expanded skill set necessarily. We are really just engaging kids in those introductory skills and exposing them. That's a big part of what we do in these programs. So we want to make sure, though, through each of the programs we offer, to get back on track, that we've got at least one early post-secondary course, which might be a dual enrollment or an advanced placement, could be a dual credit agreement we have with a local university or college, or that we're offering at least one nationally recognized industry certification through each of our CTE programs of study. And so we've got quite a few offerings out there right now, and we've really spent the last few years sort of growing the number of certifications that we're earning. But we know too, we want to keep a lens on what are our most valuable experiences, which is a very important part of partnership and helping us to identify what might be, from your perspective, some of those high value experiences. And so again, we want to offer those with each path so that each kid is getting that opportunity, each student that's engaged in our programs, and then also increase the number overall of students that are earning that industry certification. We have been fairly successful with doing that, with expanding that number. We do, though, however, have to operate within sort of the boundaries of the state. So the State Department of Education have their own advisory councils that they lean on for their expertise. And so they identify through a process industry certifications that they feel like are a good fit, that will be valuable to students, and that are aligned with certain either CTE classes or aligned with a sequence of classes. And so we've kind of built upon that framework that the state has put out, and they continue to adjust that. We have a new list actually that will be coming out November the 10th that's been through kind of the first really big update, and so we're kind of excited to see what's included on that. But we've been able to grow that. As I said, I've been in the department a little bit over 3 years. We started in 17-18. We had 753 certifications earned, and we've grown that all the way this past year. Even with our closure from March to the end of the school year, we still were able to earn 1,644 certifications. So we're very proud of that work that our teachers have put into that. Most all of these certifications require that teacher to go back and learn new material. It requires them to change how they're teaching their class, maybe over how they've taught it in the past, and incorporate this information. There's a lot of learning curve on the part of the adults that are helping students to learn this material when we look at those numbers. So again, we're very excited to see that number grow, and very proud of the work that our teachers and our students have done to make that happen. As I said, there is a process with the state to continue to reevaluate the certifications that they see as being, number one, high value, and number two, aligned to the programs that we offer. So again, those certifications, as I mentioned, they range across different disciplines and different levels of difficulty. So we have, I would say one of our showcase examples would be with our NCCER curriculum. So in our construction trades classrooms, our students are able to earn certifications through the National Council for Construction Education and Research. That is the same certifying body that students going through the programs at the TCATs, Tennessee College of Applied Technology, they offer those certifications as well. If you enroll locally here in some of our trade apprenticeships, they also offer those curriculums and certifications. And so we're very happy to engage kids in that process early, and we were very successful with that process in our construction trades classrooms. In addition, through our health sciences programs, we have been very successful over time with having high school students graduate with their certified nursing assistant certification. And we have lots of kids that go directly into work after high school, a lot of times while they're in college with that CNA certification. We have certified EKG technicians, pharmacy technicians that come out of our health sciences programs. And again, we've done really well in those areas, and that's just a few examples of some of the ones that we're doing. We're currently expanding our information technology programs, and have done well with some very difficult certifications through information technology, and looking to continue to improve ways that we can grow those certifications also. So all of that to kind of paint a picture of kind of who we are, what types of programs do we offer, what's the purpose in that, and then also sort of the goals and priorities we have set for ourselves as we think about how our programs serve the students in Knox County. So to kind of shift into why you're here today, it's really around this idea of the importance of partners to our programs. We have almost right around 200 teachers if you include our middle schools and our high schools. And again, those teachers quite often have worked as professionals in the fields that they were in, and then moved into education. Some of them have just moved into the classroom. Some of them moved in 5 and 10 years ago. And if you've been working in your industry for that long, then you can probably attest to the fact that things change. And what maybe I knew about the marketing industry 10 years ago with social media and all that, now I've moved into the classroom. A lot's changed probably in that. Definitely in things that move very quickly, like our STEM fields, in engineering, information technology, I'm sure even health sciences. Those things are changing at a very rapid pace. So when we think about the educators that are in the classrooms and their experiences, certainly their classrooms and what they teach take on a flavor of kind of what is their background and what have they done. But the longer they stay in the classroom and out of industry, the further away from kind of the current practice they get. And so it's very important to think about ourselves as part of this talent pipeline that exists here in the region. When I talk with Amy and others at the chamber, we've talked about this in the past. You know, I consider Knox County Schools to be a producer in this equation. Obviously, we're not doing much of this on our own. So when kids leave us, when students leave us in Knox County Schools, we know a lot of them are going to Pellissippi. We know a lot of them are going to the University of Tennessee, and there's certainly a lot of them going out of state for school and to a lot of different institutions across our state and across our country. But we really know that a lot of them stay here, and that we have an opportunity in Knox County Schools to be a contributor to that pipeline when we can align what we're doing in the high school classroom very closely with what's happening in the post-secondary classrooms at Pellissippi, at UT, at TCAT, when we can align it to the work happening in our local apprenticeships, and then when we can align it tightly to what's happening in maybe your worlds. So, you know, as you look for employees and looking for folks that you're hiring and the skills that you're looking for, whether those be technical, whether they be soft skills. I know we talk a lot, as I meet with folks, we talk a lot about soft skills, but really those 21st century skills of how to communicate well and how to work as a team member and all of those things that we would expect people to be able to do in the workplace. And, you know, those are things we have to support students with. And the best way to support them is through interaction, through authentic experiences with professionals, with others. And so those are very important parts of how partners outside of the school can help us to contribute to that talent pipeline, to keep us current, and then also to create experiences where the kids really have the opportunity to interact. We are required, when you look at kind of, again, I mentioned our federal funding, but we're required to justify any program that we have through local and regional demand. And sometimes that's easy to do because, you know, you can go to different data points and really point to industries that are growing and expanding. But also we can do that through local demand. And so sometimes the big picture data that's out there with like workforce boards and economic development data maybe doesn't capture all that. And so there's an opportunity for you as a partner to inform our practice in the sense of what programs do we need and how should those programs look, and what are the factors that should be covered in those programs. And so those demands are very important when we think about being able to provide justification for the programs that we have, or maybe the money that we spend. All of that is looked at as part of the equation when we're talking about CTE. There is definitely room within what we teach and our standards to tailor the classroom curriculum that we have and add to it. I talked about industry certifications as an example. That's something our teachers have to take on that's extra that they add to their classroom. And there is room in there to do that because they know that there's places that you're going to want to kind of make it your own with the CTE curriculum. And so I say that to say when we have partnership that can really inform those practices in the classroom, we've got room to ensure that if we're teaching marketing, if we're teaching coding or software development skills, that there's a place for somebody to say, hey, here's a better way to think about that, or here's maybe a certification you should be looking at, or a way that I could help with an activity or a project that could really help the kids kind of take this to the next level. And so those partnerships can be important in that as well. And then I mentioned this already, but again, that idea of authentic exposure to professionals, you know, I always say our kids, you know, really love our teachers. And I think most of them sign up for our CTE classes most often. Yes, they may be interested in the content, but they come back because of the teacher. But they, even as much as they love them and respect kind of their input and their feedback, when a professional from that workforce is a part of that classroom, when they come in or when they're part of the experience, kids really do rise to that occasion and really look for that expertise and to see that living example of someone who's doing this work in their daily life. And so that's a very important part of what we can offer through CTE. And again, I'll go back to say before we were talking about the idea of these different communities, ensuring that all communities offer this programming so that all students across Knox County get this opportunity. So we know we've got some underserved student populations that may not be getting that experience as much as they would in maybe another school setting or another community. And then another important one to call out is this idea of the non-traditional student. So we know we need to do a better job of exposing our female students to careers in STEM. And we know that there's lots of different career fields out there that may not be that may be male dominant that we want to expose our female students to, and there may be fields that are female dominant that we want to increase our male student population in, such as teaching. And so we've got lots of different areas that we want to look at, and again, ensure that all students are getting the best picture of what it could mean for them to what it looks like for them to work in that space. And so CTE Advisory Councils is really a great place to start this work. Again, through the compliance lens, we're required to show that we maintain an advisory council for each of our programs of study. That is what's considered a component or an indicator that you have a high quality program, is that you have these advisory councils that inform your work, and that again provide that justification for why you're doing what you're doing, or why you're spending the money that you're spending. And so it does require a relationship with that classroom. And it gives the opportunity to provide CTE teachers, this chance, and students to connect with industry and post-secondary partners, so that we know more about what is going to be expected at the next level as students prepare to take that next step through continued training, continued education, or possibly into the workforce. And it provides partners with the opportunity to weigh in on what are the skills, what are the things that students need to be learning through this track, and would better prepare them for the next step. And that can inform classroom activities, it can inform projects, it can inform all kinds of different aspects of the learning that takes place in the classroom. So for you, what would it look like to serve as a CTE Advisory Council member? At the base, you would attend an advisory council meeting or a function, and those are typically going to be around 2 times a year. We're changing that a little bit from the past. There was kind of a 2 times a year requirement in the law previously, but that's not the way it is anymore. But we're still going to follow that pattern, so to speak. And you're going to hear more about that. But in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have virtual, much like today, we're going to have virtual advisory meetings occurring, and we again would love to have you participate in those if you're willing. Let me say too that you may be on this call today, and you may not be the person from your business that would represent, say, the marketing department, or something of that nature. So you may not be the only person, or you may not be the right person to plug into that opportunity, but we would certainly encourage you, as we share follow-up information with you about these advisory council meetings, if you've got others in your company that make sense for different parts or different advisories, because they will be broken up with the programs that they serve and those teachers, we encourage you to share that information and plug them into these opportunities as well. So again, it begins with a meeting, and that's going to happen a couple of times a year probably. The second step is the importance of that meeting, and that time is to engage with teachers in the classroom. So it's great that you maybe have a face or a name to put with me and the other folks you're going to hear from this morning. But really it's about engaging with the teachers and engaging with the classrooms. And so what does that look like? Well, it could be providing a guest speaker around a certain topic that you and the teacher have discussed. That could be in person or virtually. It could be collaborating on assignments, or maybe bigger projects, or even practicum courses. So sometimes as our students progress through the beginning level courses, the last course they take sort of as a capstone is called a practicum. And in that practicum course, they can stay on campus and work on site, doing different projects for the teacher, things like that. But one way to really enrich that experience is to have the teacher work with some outside partners to really develop maybe a meaningful project for them. What are some of the things that you're doing in your business that some students could take a stab at and share some information and ideas on? And again, give them some authentic practice and authentic connection to a professional setting. Another way is to host teachers. So we have traditionally, with the exception of this past year, and because of the COVID situation, offered summer externships where teachers have gone out and spent a couple of days in the business setting, and maybe you've participated in that with the chamber. They've been a very supportive partner in helping us to find those placements. But that's a great experience, as I mentioned, for teachers who maybe have been out of the industry for more than 5 years to get back out and get into the industries they worked in and kind of see how things have changed and what direction things have taken. So externships is something we'll continue to build back towards as hopefully we come out of the COVID-19 era of our practice. but also hosting students on industry field trips. So working with teachers to create opportunities where students can come out and see what the workplace looks like. It's important too to see the classroom spaces and provide feedback on kind of what's in there. What is the equipment that we need? What are the tools and the things that students should be exposed to and using, the software potentially. And again, opportunity to develop relationships with the students in these courses. And I can't express that enough. I hear time and time again about students who first met an industry partner or someone in the classroom in high school, and how that develops into a mentorship, how that develops into someone coming back 6 years later when they get out of college because they have that point of contact and going to work for that company. And so those are the kinds of things that can happen through an advisory relationship. You also have the opportunity to engage with us, the CTE department staff, and really, again, help us identify what are the needs for your company, what are the needs for your workforce, so that we can really understand those trends and help to make sure that what we're investing in the classrooms, both in time and both in money, are things that will align to those needs and better equip our students for the next steps after graduation. And then lastly, working with the CTE department staff, we can help you understand what it looks like for students to be hosted in a work-based learning placement, which is, again, as I mentioned, is that kind of part-time release from their school in their junior and senior year, where they can go out and actually work in a position and work for a company, and again, apply what they've learned in the classroom and kind of reflect on what they're learning about it, what it means to be a professional in that setting. So I'm going to introduce you real quickly and give each of them a couple of minutes to speak about their programs. We have got several CTE specialists that work in my department, and they all cover different programs of study, different career clusters. And so when you think about the work that your company does, and you think about the different departments that are within there, hopefully some of these areas resonate with you as you think about where potentially you could participate in a upcoming advisory meeting. And so kind of the order we're going to go through here: first, you're going to hear from Chris Tucker, and he's going to talk to you about the areas he covers: the STEM and IT, culinary arts, criminal justice, our education and training programs. He does our architectural program and our advanced manufacturing. Gina Kirby, health sciences, our human and social science, and our dietetics and nutrition program. Buck Coatney handles all of our construction trades, our cosmetology programs, agriculture, and transportation, which is our automotive maintenance and collision. JD Faulkner works with our business, marketing, and finance teachers, which is our largest group, and our JROTC programs, which we have in Air Force, Army, and Navy. And then lastly, a little bit differently, is Christy Seals, who works partly in my department and partly with our secondary education. She is our college and career specialist, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about the middle grades career exploration work that she's been doing, about high school advisement, some of the work she does with our early post-secondary courses, and then most importantly, an upcoming opportunity in the spring where we're going to host a virtual career fair, career expo event for our middle school students. And that would be another great place for you guys to be able to plug in and offer some support for helping even our younger students to understand, what does it mean to work in this field? What does it mean to be a professional in whatever industry that may be? And so I'm going to take the screen down and give each of them an opportunity to talk, and then we'll move back to some concluding comments.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for participating in this meeting. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for you guys to learn more about our individual programs. And as Keith said, my name's Chris Tucker. He had the long litany of list of the programs that I support. They include engineering, CAD, infotech, criminal justice, education and training, advanced manufacturing, and criminal justice. So a couple of things I want to highlight. We are in the process of putting in a new welding program at Carter High School. That program hopefully will be up and going in the spring semester. We're working on getting a teacher in that program. We also have a new engineering program at Farragut High School that's off the ground and running with a great teacher there. One of the other partnerships that we've got working that has been involved with our architecture or our CAD programs, as well as construction and engineering, is a partnership called ACE with the University of Tennessee. It involves the College of Engineering, the College of Architecture, and actually the construction science program, which falls under the College of Agriculture. We're trying to work on opportunities to expand that across a couple of other schools possibly this year. But that partnership is moving forward. It gives students a great opportunity to work with professionals like you in those 3 craft areas, as well as connect with folks at the University of Tennessee in those areas to look at the trajectory of their path should they choose to go on to that post-secondary institution. Keith talked a lot about industry certifications, and he showed a graphic there earlier about the growth within those areas over the last few years. One of the key aspects of that is making sure that those certifications that we're offering, because an example would be in IT, there are just a huge list of certifications that are offered there. And we want to make sure that the certifications we're honing in on as a district within that program are the certifications that are needed from our IT professionals. We also look at opportunities for those certifications, and Christy may talk about this a little bit later, but how those certifications may align with coursework at the post-secondary level to offer dual credit opportunities for students that actually are successful on those industry certification exams. And I know Keith also talked about work-based learning opportunities, and specifically for me, some of the areas where it may seem obvious that we already have those, but we don't have a tremendous amount of opportunity at this point available for students would be work-based learning opportunities in the IT cluster, specifically in computer programming and cybersecurity. We have some growth in the cybersecurity area as far as programs go, but we also are looking for those opportunities in engineering and advanced manufacturing. And advanced manufacturing is a challenging environment just because of the type of environment that a student may be working in and what your companies may allow. But we definitely want to look and see if that is a possibility for maybe someone to just get exposure in a setting like that. And we would love the opportunity to work with you guys on that. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Gina Kirby, and I work with teachers that are in health science and human services areas. We have several areas represented in health science. We have 13 programs in, or programs in 13 of our high schools. And the programs represent different areas in healthcare, such as diagnostic services, emergency medicine, nursing services, sports and human performance, and therapeutic services. Within that, the students are able to go out and do clinical internships that Keith mentioned earlier from each of those programs of study, actually. And so we're always looking for sites for those students to go to in healthcare, as well as some of the certifications that they earn, national industry certifications. Out of those programs, they can earn certified EKG technician, he mentioned earlier, EMR, emergency medical responder, first responder, the CNA, certified nursing assistant, or certified patient care technician, the CPT, which is a certified personal trainer out of the sports and human performance area, the CCMA, which is certified clinical medical assistant, and he mentioned also the certified pharmacy tech. So we have lots of opportunities for students to earn those certifications, and as he mentioned, you can work while you're going to a 4-year to seek a 4-year degree, or just continue working in that field if that's where you would like to end your education and work in that field there. In addition to that, we also offer OSHA 10. I don't remember if that was mentioned or not. But OSHA 10 is offered to our health science students currently, usually out of their 2nd or 3rd level course. It's also being offered in agriculture, but I'll let Buck talk about that when he gets to that point. As far as our career and technical student organizations, HOSA, Health Occupation Students of America, is the organization for health science. And some of our advisory members have served as judges as far as getting involved with the student organization. So you could serve as a judge, you could come into the classrooms, help prepare students at the local school for skills competitions and things like that if you like to get involved in that way also. We do have an advisory meeting coming up November 12th, 4:30 to 5:30 for the health science programs. And then we've got one a little bit later for human services. The human services programs, we have 9 schools that have programs, 9 of our high schools. And those programs of study are human and social sciences and dietetics and nutrition. And some of you may remember those programs being called Family Consumer Science, or even before that, Home Ec. And the state has changed the curriculum quite a bit in those areas to include nutrition and mental health and things like that. So those teachers need probably a little support in some of those areas that they haven't had the background in the past. So those are good ones to get involved in if that is your area of concern. Industry certifications, for those, there are not any national ones that are listed for that with the state, but there are some Tennessee just state industry certifications for both of those areas. And those students, if they pass on the first time that they take that, earn 3 hours of college credit. So their CTSO, or student organization, is FCCLA. And the advisory meeting for that group is November 16th, 4:30 to 5:30.
All right, Buck.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everybody logging on this morning at an early time. We really appreciate everybody's time. Y'all saw the list of the programs that I work with. I'd like to add communications to that list. I don't want to go through the list again because you've got a copy of it, but communications, which consists of audio, visual, and digital arts and design. I'd just like to ask everybody one question. What would be the benefit of you being a part of the advisory council? I think that's, I've been doing this a long time, and we've talked about this for quite a while. But the thing that we can offer you as a CTE specialist is the key to the opportunity for you to get access to 19,000 students. And that's what our goal is in our department, is to introduce you to the future workforce of Knox County and East Tennessee. And we want to go along with the career readiness. We want you to be a part of our advisory meetings, because you are going to advise our teachers is who you need to make the relationship with, because those guys are the ones that are going to be able to introduce you to your future workers. You guys are going to provide us the new techniques, up-to-date technology and tips for the field. And one thing that we really would like to stress, especially with the areas that I deal with, would be the work-based learning, which was the old co-op days. And we would love to have our students in your fields of expertise working in the summer. The Ride and Decide program is a great example of a program that we started several years ago that kids actually work during the summer for 8 weeks, and there's numerous other opportunities for kids to work, and we need you guys to invest the most important thing you've got, which is your time, and for you to come in to our buildings, and we have numerous people I see on this chat, on this Zoom meeting, that are coming to our schools, and you wouldn't believe when these guys roll in, and just like Keith said earlier, the teachers talk to them every day, but when you come into our classrooms, that makes a big difference. And I feel like if we could get some, we've got some really good partnerships, but we want to have it more available to everybody. And you contact your CTE specialist in whatever area you're with, and we can hook you up with the teachers and have you introduced to 19,000 potential workforce people. And if you have any questions, feel free to call me about any of my areas. And again, thank you all for being here today.
And I'll just say real quickly before you go, JD, that we will be able to share the slide deck after this meeting for the participants, and then also there'll be a follow-up, and I'll mention that in a minute again, where you'll have everybody's contact information, names and dates and times and all that as well. JD.
So good morning, everyone. My name is JD Faulkner. I oversee business marketing, finance, and the ROTC programs of study. One of the common themes that you've heard this morning is industry certifications. So I want to touch base on some of the things that we offer in business marketing finance, especially the number of these certifications that we are allowed to give. So right now at Farragut, Carnes, and Bearden, we're working with a Certiport platform. And we have 500 licenses that we can actually use at those three schools for things like Microsoft Office Specialist, Word, Excel. We also utilize Google Suite platform for business management and administration. We utilize another platform called Hootsuite. So these are all the different platforms that we utilize so our students can earn industry certifications. And one of the things that I think is a real plus about that is the fact that Pellissippi State Community College actually offers college credit for earning some of these industry certifications in your local high school. Another point that I kind of want to hit on is the new, I guess you could say, fire that has been lit in a program called supply chain management. So supply chain management is a very hot area with University of Tennessee in the Haslam College of Business. And speaking to one of our partners, Joe Buckley at the UT Haslam College of Business in supply chain management, he let me know the other day that the undergraduate program at UT is ranked 6th in the country and the graduate program is ranked 2, which makes this supply chain management one of the highest ranked programs in the country. The reason that I say that is because average starting salary for those kids coming out of UT is about $55,000. So $55,000 annually. So what we have done is we have started supply chain management at Farragut, Hardin Valley, and Bearden. So this is our first year where we've got teachers actually teaching supply chain management. What those courses do is expose students to careers in business involved in planning, management, movement of people, movement of products, and road, air, rail, and pipeline. So it's one of those things where we're trying to connect our post-secondary partners with our secondary schools so that there's a seamless transition of kids who can go from supply chain management from these three schools into a real, successful program that they offer at the University of Tennessee. One of the programs that I oversee is ROTC. I oversee the ROTC programs in Knox County Schools, and like Keith, Dr. Wilson had said earlier, we do have programs in the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. One of the things in order to teach ROTC, or the instructors have to have already been retired from the military prior. So these are certified instructors. They do have a teaching license. They have previously retired from the military and gone back into teaching. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about this unique group of instructors is that they are in the process of learning, like all of instructors in Knox County, to teach virtually. One of the things that our ROTC instructors have done in the past are what we call drill competitions and drill meets. Those are usually things where military recruiters will come in and judge a group of cadets on anything from marching to parade to anything that is aligned to their curriculum. And one of the things that they've done this year is had to learn how to do all that virtually. So I kind of want to give a shout out to them because they are learning how to do that all in a virtual environment, which takes a lot of patience, which these gentlemen have and these ladies have. So that's one of the things that we're kind of focusing on this year is how we can allow our instructors to do what they normally do, but in a virtual setting. Lastly, I want to hit on the virtual enterprise. Virtual enterprise is an upper level business course. We offer that at Bearden High School right now. Over the course of the academic year, virtual enterprise transforms a business course into a full-on business where they will compete locally and globally. It's one of the only classes that bridges the divide between the academic classroom and the working world. The program at Bearden has excelled in placing first to state last year, and they were actually slated to win the national virtual enterprise competition last year until COVID-19 kind of put the brakes on a lot of the things that we're doing. So the virtual enterprise classroom at Bearden High School, if you get the opportunity to come out and visit our business programs, coming to Bearden to see the virtual enterprise, I think would be a wonderful experience. One of the things I do want to let you all know is that we do have advisory dates and times set for all these programs of study. November the 10th, from 4:30, beginning at 4:30, we will have an ROTC Advisory Council. November the 17th, starting at 4:30, we will have the Business Marketing Personal Finance Advisory Council. So I just want to say thank you all for your all's time. I will turn this back over to Dr. Wilson.
And we're going to actually have to cut a little bit short today from what we had planned to present because we are running out of time, and I want to honor your time for being here this morning. So Amy, I know you've got some additional things, and I believe we're going to hear from one other person.
Well, I do, and actually, so you're probably asking yourself, what is it in this for me? And so we do have a testimonial from Terry Self, CEO of Interstate Mechanical Contractors. We're going to send that out to you. The link to that video, we'll send that out to you, along with Keith will send out to you all dates and times of all the advisory councils in a follow-up email. We really hope you'll share this in your networks. Please know it's not invitation only. If you're involved in professional groups, other people in your organization, friends, neighbors, please share this information with them. So Keith, thank you for sharing this information. Again, before we log off, let me thank our partners, Farragut West Knoxville Chamber, Iris Networks, Shod Companies, Accenture, Pipe Wrench, WGU Tennessee, and Resource MFG. I think we answered questions in the chat as we went. Thank you, Knox County Schools, for monitoring that and answering those questions. Please keep an eye out for an email from Keith Wilson along with the chamber. If you do not receive it, please follow up with anybody in our organization and we'll make sure you're connected. Again, thank you everyone, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.